Hello there. Hi, everybody. Martha Creek here. MarthaCreek.com to contact me directly. Sending you blessing today. The word that I'm using today for this commentary contemplation is the term renewal. A time of renewal that we're in. This springtime, the proof that life renews itself from the way things come back, the blooms, the pollen, all that's included. So think about what renewal means to you and what you do, what you actually experience renewal through. So renewal might look like when you get your sense of humor back. For my friend I just got off the phone with, it was her 4th anniversary of her husband's death. And she went to Disney World where they would go together a lot. They had seasons passes, and it was renewing to her to go there, even though he wasn't here to go with her. She felt renewed by going. She had a friend that was very interested in that and was excited to go and all that. So she got a renewal energy out of that. She said it also helped her to offset some of the sadness that usually goes with it, not suppressing the sadness, but some kind of balance in that. It's also laughter is considered, this man that does podcasts named Trevor Noah says that laughter is carbonated holiness. So we're laughing some. And I was sharing this experience that I had this past month of getting this boo-boo on my finger, having stitches and all that. And it was the insanity of my mind that even while I was bleeding and dripping blood and all that, I was still with this other hand trying to clean up the pot and the mess, not pot like marijuana, but a ceramic plant pot, something that had broke that I cut my hand on. So this is dripping blood on this hand, and I'm over here trying to clean up the mess. So this tells you something about me and this nature that I have, that we in our family were just push through pain. Like, oh my God, you've got a finger, it's bleeding, like wrap the thing up, let's go, keep it moving. You can still got one good hand, let's use that. So it caused me to laugh though, to think about that while this is dripping blood and pooling blood off the one hand, I'm over here with the other hand trying to clean up a mess because I didn't want to come back to a mess. Never mind, I'm creating one. The blood is creating a bigger mess than the breakage of the pot the potted plant had made. So think about also just sharing a little laugh with somebody, something that would renew your spirit. For me, it includes keeping bulbs in my house, some kind of bulbs, amaryllis or paper whites or something. So I get to see them grow. I get to see the life that comes out of dirt and what happens in the bulb starts to grow the shoots. And some of those folks, like they're like, you almost see them grow. They grow so fast. And then the blooms on them. So who knows what it is? Renewal, though, is required. Renewal of ourselves, a rejuvenation of ourselves, a revitalization of ourselves. It's also a time when hope returns. And this springtime and this time before Easter represents that time for many where hope actually returns. It also is an intense energy for some around this time of Easter. What goes with it traditionally, and looking at the life of Jesus, for example, and a crucifixion, the dark time, the time in the tomb, and that. And it also invites me as a part of my renewal to make room for that. So I give the grief that I may be feeling, the grief that I have naturally, regardless of what the grief is around or tied to or who it is or anything, to give the grief some space. And then I can renew myself by growing around, enlarging myself around the grief. So I don't expect grief to get smaller or to go away. And I see, though, that through my renewal processes, my acceptings of this, my allowance of this, I actually enlarge myself around the grief. And I've loved sharing this with folks and being able to walk with them in their journeys of this, to see that even in grief, there also is there's hope. And just like that life ended and had its time, we don't lose the love that we had from that life or the blessings we had of sharing our life with somebody else. So it also includes for me reflection and looking back in my life and on my life, and knowing that I've loved everyone the best I could. And I remember a teacher years ago, this religious science minister at this conference I was in Asilomar out near Big Sur in California. Many of you may have been out there on that Pacific coast, a gorgeous place. And he said, oh, he felt this heaviness around me, or saw it on my face. And he said, oh my goodness. And he's like, what has got you so weighted down? What are you so concerned about? And I never met the man. And of course, it didn't stop me. And I love a good question. What has got me so boogered up? And the answer was, well, thank you for noticing. But I'm weary and distressed because I can't love everyone. I don't love everyone. I've got to. I'm supposed to. I must. I mean, I'm in pursuit of this and I can't achieve it. And he said, where in the world did you get that you're supposed to love everyone? I said, from the Bible, from religious teachings, from the Dalai Lama, from everybody I know, from media, from poems, poetry, literature. And he said, it's a misunderstanding. And it's like the weight of the world was lifted off of me. Like what I was believing was false. Like all other stressful thoughts. And he said, let me see what might help you with this. Like, what's some food that you don't love? And I said, green beans. And he said, well, how many green beans do you eat? And I said, none. And he said, it's just like that. You don't love them. You can't help that you don't love them. You didn't decide you're not going to love them. You just don't love them. And he said, so how many are you going to eat? I was like, none. How many do you put on your plate when they're offered? It's like, none. And he said, it's the same. So you don't have to put people on your plate, so to speak. Certain people, certain types of people, certain personalities. I also don't have to judge the green bean. I don't have to judge other people who eat green beans, who love green beans, who think green beans are the greatest thing going. I don't have to judge the green bean or who eats it or how much of it there is. I just don't have to put it on my plate. This sounds so simple. And my gratitude for this lesson for my life is unspeakable. What this did for my being and my soul, to accept that I love what I love and I don't and can't love what I don't and can't love. And I was recently listening to a story about Thomas Merton, who's a monk that lived for a time down in the Abbey of Gethsemane, which is in Kentucky, near where I hold these in-person retreats 2 or 3 times a year. So I've been very inspired by his life, the way he lived, his writings, what people wrote about him, and some of his experiences, because he wrote clearly that in the life of a monk in a time of very deep, devoted practice and decades of it, that he still had doubts that these monks, the people that he lived there with, that he couldn't bear some of them. He wanted to shake them awake or maybe kick them in the shin here and there. And as far as I know, he didn't. But the point was that he's got his own bristles. We've got our own humanness around people. And in that writing, it was clear, he made clear that and many of us have heard this, a vibrational force, a vibrational energy We have we're electric energy. We're also beings of that. And that we're then therefore magnetic. We're part of our field is a magnetic field. So it's clear to see this because we're more drawn to certain things and we're drawn to certain people, certain personalities, certain foods, certain hobbies, certain things that we have an attraction to. We have a pull, a draw to go toward it. Also, we have a repel. Now, this can be a bitter pill for us high righteous spiritual types that wants to deny that for no reason whatsoever, there was no big falling out, there was no big argument or anything like that. It's just this person, I'm not a match for their energy. It's like, this is a shoe that doesn't fit my foot. And if I try to make myself wear that shoe and it's tight and uncomfortable, then I have put myself in my own torture chamber. So, and then wondering why I have blisters. So, a way to renew myself through that is to accept it. That there's things and people I'm drawn to, attracted to, and there's things and people that, if for no known reason, I'm repelled by. I don't have the same energy. So, it's renewing for me to remember this and to accept this. And to look back on my life and know that I didn't pick, I have no awareness or knowledge that I ever had any kind of ill intent or wanted to harm another person or something like that. And that when those thoughts come, they're part of the race consciousness, the human consciousness. And I can't think that can't help that the thoughts came through, and I don't have to have the thoughts running the show. So we've loved the best we could. We've been served where we could. It also is whatever else during that time renewed us in some way. And for some, it's walking. I've got friends that walk in rain or shine. Well, a drizzle, maybe not a downpour. That is very renewing. For others, it could be a bath. For others, it can be a time of silence, a prayer, a meditation. Feel renewed, connecting. Bird watching. I love doing that. It could be just to go out in the garden for a few minutes, to grow tomato plants. So, renewal. For me, it's times of purification where I look at what I'm still doing that does not make my tail wag and say, okay, I've got to do less of this or it's run its course. Like I'm not going to do it. It's also this time of the year, it's called spring cleaning. So I'm renewed by like walking through my house, and it's pretty simple where I live. I really want the house just to have essentials in it. I don't want a lot of stuff. I'm not against stuff. It's just I can't have a bunch of stuff because the more stuff I have, the more encumbered I get by it. So it's a time to walk through to question again what's really essential, what's found its way in my house in the last year without me being mindful about it. So then I can clear some of that out to live a more simplified life, to have a more simplified space, and for me not to be leaking off my energy, trying to sort all that out or wonder where something is or navigate through clutter and things like that. So spring cleaning. It's also the time when I actually pay someone to wash the windows. This house I live in has 35 windows, and there's no drapes. I keep the blinds up in most cases, except in the room where I sleep. And this man comes in here and does this in about an hour, and they're sparkly clean, and it's like $100. So it's well worth the money for me to get that kind of uplift around that. So spring cleaning. So spring cleaning our mental faculties, spring cleaning our heart energy. Who am I holding grudges with? Who am I still undone with? Any kind of reconciliation I can bring to that. spring cleaning my thoughts. Like I was thinking, I just finished actually a session with somebody who feels like they're an imposition to their grown children. And the turnaround to that, her spring cleaning and renewal, including her looking at what's the opposite of that. So is it true I'm an inconvenience? Can I absolutely know that to be true? How do I react when I believe I'm an inconvenience to them? And who would I be if I didn't think I was an inconvenience for them? Better off, renewed, revitalized, clearer, happier, calmer, saner. And then the turnaround, this is the work, by the way, thework.com is the website, the work of Byron Katie, and a book called Loving What Is, 4 Questions to Change Your Life, that I've practiced for over 20 some years. It's considered in the mental health psychology realms as cognitive behavioral therapy. Very effective. So the turnaround is I'm an inconvenience to my children, turns around to the opposite of an inconvenience. And for her, she said, it's a gift to them that I'm here. It's like, what? I'm an inconvenience. I'm an inconvenience. I'm an inconvenience. Because the mind will go back out and dredge, it's already drawn conclusions. So in the beginning, there is the conclusion. Versus let me use a crowbar and open up the other polarity of my mind and see, how is it a gift to them that I'm here? And her mind was open. It's in an open growth mindset. And she went right to, they don't have to worry about me. They don't have to figure out how they're going to get up to the house in the snow. They don't have to plan their day around their comings and goings that include me. I'm here. They also, I'm a gift to them because of my age and my general health condition, that they likely, if when I pass, they'll be grateful that they had that time with me, that they would have regretted if I passed, when I passed, that they hadn't have had more time with me. So it's a gift in that way. It's a gift because I've been able to do a few things for them while they're here, because they both still work. So I've been able to be a contributor while I'm here too. So her mind was open. So she got renewed in it. She actually said, I want to get off the session and keep writing about this, Martha. I'm getting such a revitalization through this. I feel like rejuvenated as a result of clearing this out of my mind. So how will you renew yourself? Maybe take a nap. To be free to write some cards, some thank you notes, reach out to somebody. It's a story that I read from this writer named Anne Lamont. And she told this story, she said, dozens of times about a day when her best friend was dying. So she went shopping. She took her friend shopping. She was in a wig and a wheelchair. And she had plans that night to go out with what she considers a dysfunctional boyfriend. And she went to buy a dress to go out on this date with her dying friend in a wheelchair, in a wig. And she said she tried on this kind of tight, short dress, one that was tighter and shorter than she was used to. And she said to her friend, whose name was Pammy, who was also the name of one of my friends that died last year, Pammy, do you think this makes my hips look big? Do you think this dress makes my hips look big? And Pammy said to her friend, very gently, sweetheart, you don't have that kind of time. You don't have that kind of time. Folks, we don't have that kind of time to be worried about how our hips look in a dress. I don't have that kind of time. So wear the doggone dress you want to wear. And wear it at whatever length you want to wear it. And leave the world to deal with it. So where do we start? And if you don't know where to start, left foot, right foot. Left foot, right foot. One foot in front of the other. Breathe and remember. Breathe and be breathed. So we may call these the sacraments of one foot after the other. The writer put it as the sacraments of ploppage and putter. So look for some daffodils, some tulips, whatever's in bloom. Be aware of the sweet, deep sigh. I call them the exhales. I live for exhales. Renew. Revitalize. Rejoice. Blessings, friends. MarthaCreek.com to contact me.